What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now Plus. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk a little bit about InZOI's early player numbers from Steam. Now, look, as it's been reported and talked about with other games, it's not the be-all, end-all, right? The peak concurrent. It's just one way of looking at it, and really, what you got to probably do is take that number and triple to quadruple it to figure out how many people actually have bought the game so far. And those numbers aren't, I think, going to officially be known for some time. We'll have to see if, like, the official accounts tweet anything or say anything. Hey, InZOI has reached 1 million players, 2 million players. We'll see if that happens over the next couple of days. But for what it's worth right now, I feel like the game is actually doing really, really good. So kind of night one, it launched, and I think it reached about 60,000. I actually tweeted it, and that was, I think, actually the high of night one. And because it came out later on in the day, at least to me, central kind of US, I think to a good amount of people it came out later in the day on Thursday. So Friday, today, at least I'm recording this, was really the first big day for this game to shine. And I mean, kind of two stats really to look at. Number one, the peak concurrent was 87,000, and it was 9 hours ago from the time that I'm recording this. So you're actually looking like middle of the day, and I think that probably shows a more like worldwide type audience. I'm doing fine right now, right? 57,000 people again at the time I'm recording. We'll see the next 2 days. Like the weekend generally is the high. I do imagine it beats it, but it might not beat it by that much. We'll see if it hits 100,000. I feel like it's going to hit 100,000 plus. That's just my guess. The second stat, though, to really look at before we kind of dive into what these numbers mean is actually the reviews. The reviews for this game, which I do think are pretty important. Early access. It's a game that we've talked about it time and time again, mainly on podcasts now on my main channel. But it's a game that is going to have to work for it. It's a game that's going to have to add and listen to the feedback, the constructive criticism over the next several years, or at least actually in the short term, let's say the next several weeks or months, they're really going to have to listen. But this is a pretty good start. 82.5% positive, almost 5,000 positive reviews, almost 1,000 negative. So doing pretty well. I mean, if it can hold that, and a lot of games do hold it, right? Some games will drop a little. We'll have to see maybe over the next week or so if it goes into like the mid 80s, if it stays like exactly here, or if it maybe drops into the 70s. I think would actually be honestly a pretty good indication of where people's heads are at, right? With like enjoying the experience, especially because this isn't a one and done thing, right? You don't play this game for 3 hours and you're done with it forever. It's a game you're supposed to play, at least right now, even for a while, and it's a game that's going to be added to over time. So I do imagine those scores change. We'll just have to see which direction. And then again, in terms of the player base, I mean, I think that's pretty darn good. Again, what you normally probably do is you at least triple it. So, I mean, to assume that it's reached like 150 to 200,000 sales, I feel like is probably pretty safe. Again, I do think over the next couple of days, we'll get the stats and, they'll say something. I highly doubt it's reached 1 million sales, so I don't know if they would send the tweet out, right? The announcement to the world, oh, thank you to the 1 million, people that have played InZOI. I do think that's coming. I just don't think it's going to happen, the next day or two. And then just for fun, I wanted to look, just out of like curiosity, like I know when you're talking about, Steam here, right? So this is not like the primary way EA probably even wants you to play The Sims, okay? But I just wanted to look just for fun, what did The Sims do on Steam? And you know what? Actually, it always does rather well. So its peak concurrent all-time 2.4 years ago. Again, that's not the perfect, look at this game, because I'm sure it was probably played much, much more in other ways, in other places, at other times, right? Even before 2.5 years ago. But 96,000, and it seems like it always actually has been going down at least this last week, but really you can look at the 3 month, you can look at the 6 month, like it's actually stayed enormously consistent. There are between 30 to 40,000 people concurrently playing it every day, which probably, again, means you double, triple it. There's probably 50, 60, 70,000 people playing The Sims 4 literally every day for the past several years on Steam. So, again, not perfect because The Sims is, it is a competition. It's something that it's entering into the arena with, InZOI is, but, maybe not the greatest example, but just kind of interesting to see, what does this game do? InZOI is doing pretty good, I would say, right? We'll see if it needs to hold. Actually, Sims made my point that I just said a couple minutes ago, right? It's not just about day one, although, that's what we're talking about right now, but it's about, okay, What's it like 2 weeks from now? What's it like 5 weeks from now? Because if the game is still at, 20, 30, 40,000 players, that's great. If it's at like 300, right? If it drops off a cliff and there's nobody playing it, that is not what you want to see, because this is it. This is how you play this game. If they're not having people play it, this could turn bad really, really quickly, right? So you probably want to see it hold on to 10, 20, 30, 40,000 people over the next several weeks, just to kind of show a trend that, okay, every day it's got its audience, it's got its target audience that's going back to it all the time, right? So we'll see what happens long term. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.